We welcome you to our congregation of New Thought believers. We're not here by accident. We are each part of the divine source energy that manifests unity on the Eastern Shore here and now. We celebrate the gift of life and our unity with all others, for we all are one. We bless and embrace people of every race, culture, lifestyle, and creed. We affirm that the one source, as light and love, expresses equally in every life. We give thanks to the presence of God within each of us for our ever increasing acceptance and expression of the divine truth. And do we now have a song from David?
We do. Thank you so much.
Okay.
It's so good to be back and see you all again. I got this song stuck in my head a couple of weeks ago and had to dig it out. It's just one of the old standards we used to sing. So I hope you enjoy this. And if you're inclined to sing along at home, do that too. So. When upon life's billows you seem tempest tossed, when you feel discouraged thinking all is lost, count your many blessings, name them one by one, and it will surprise you what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. When your life seems empty, it is so untrue. There's a mighty presence making all things new. Miracles take place wherever you may be, proving that God's love is with you constantly. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your blessings, see what God has done. Count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Just count your blessings, name them one by one. Count your many blessings, see what God has done. Count your many blessings, see what God has done.
Thank you, David. That was a good one, an oldie but a goodie. I think we'll have our first positive affirmation. I don't see it on the screen, but I think we probably all know it. So if you do, please say it with me. We lovingly and gratefully acknowledge the presence of the divine in our midst. And because we're a purpose-led church, let's say together our purpose statement. Our purpose is to foster a new level of spiritual awareness through worship and fellowship, and to lift one another to a Christ-like maturity. Do we have any newcomers with us today? I think I saw one newcomer. Yes, it looks like Ann Teeter, and I'll bet you she is Sharon Sinclair's sister-in-law. Is that right? Sister. I think Sharon is saying, okay, well, welcome, Ann. We're very happy you're here. I don't know if we have our spiritual power on the PowerPoint, but this month, the spiritual power is order, and it's represented by an olive green. So when you see olive green this month, try to remember that, as our co-founder, Phil Moore, defined it, this is one of our spiritual powers, and we can be grateful that we have access to that power anytime we need it. Order. Our positive affirmations come next. And you probably know these as well, even though they don't appear on the screen. So if you do, say them together with me. Together, there is only one presence and one power in my life and in the universe. God, the good, omnipotent. Together, we know God blesses all special intentions present in our prayer box, and that God's perfect plan is in action. Together, and if you would please say this one with some energy, we are alive, alert, awake, joyous, and enthusiastic about life. Today's daily word is guidance. I open my mind and heart to receive my guidance. Sometimes I have insisted on figuring things out for myself rather than asking for anyone's help. Over the years, I have learned the value of asking for guidance and sharing what I've learned when others ask me. As we exchange ideas, we may tap into a higher wisdom that had not been apparent to either of us alone. This higher wisdom is not outside myself. It is a still small voice, mine to call upon at any time. I am always able to ask for guidance to show me the way forward. I access my inner guidance by opening my mind and heart in prayer. Then I watch and listen, remembering that divine guidance may come in a familiar way, or perhaps in an unexpected way that will surprise and delight me. Isaiah chapter 55, verse 9 says, "For as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts higher than your thoughts." And now we're going to have a song.
As best I can, my heart is an open heart. As best I can, I let myself be human. Try to lighten up life's loads, whether tears or laughter flows, as best I can. As best I can. As best I can. My home is a kindness home, like Abraham, where a stranger is always welcome. If they're hungry, then they eat. If they're lonely, they've got me as best I can. Oh yeah, as best I can. Oh, 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 what good can one man do? I'm just trying to find out. I can only give what I've decided I'm about, as best I can. My world is a peaceful world where all nations stand shoulder to shoulder. We are equals before God. We are neighbors, one and all, as best I can. Oh yeah, as best I can. We are children of one God. We are neighbors, one and all, as best I can. Oh yeah, as best I can. As best I can. I will do the best that I can. Oh yeah.
Thank you very much, David. Our speaker today is Reverend Ann, and we welcome you to take the virtual podium.
Well, thank you, Andrea, and thank you, David. And I apologize for the PowerPoint. We went through it in rehearsal, and I guess, you know, the best laid plans, as we say. I'm going to try to share it again, and I don't know if I'm going to be successful because I have a lot of my quotes on the PowerPoint. So let's just see if I can do it again, because it just kind of took over, and I lost the video. And anyways, and thank you, Pam, for picking it up for me. Let's see if we can go from slideshow beginning. Okay. Are you seeing it? Are you seeing the PowerPoint?
No.
Oh, okay. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'm going to have to do it without my quotes, and we're just going to have to wing it then. Pam, do you have the slides? Perhaps Pam, I sent them to Pam, but I don't know if I didn't send her the complete slides. But if you could put up, when I ask you to put up some quotes, I'll let you know. So here we are. So I guess we're still in the learning process. Just when we think that we're like part of my talk today is sometimes we think that we're experts at something, and then we're not. So here we are. So let's just take a deep breath and let's begin with prayer and just center ourselves and set aside our technological issues. And for our prayer for today, I chose, we can take the PowerPoint slide down for now, Pam, thanks. Lord, make me an instrument of your peace. Where there is hatred, let me sow love. Where there is injury, pardon. Where there is doubt, faith. Where there is despair, hope. Where there is darkness, light. Where there is sadness, joy. O divine Master, grant that I may not so much seek to be consoled as to console, to be understood as to understand, to be loved as to love. For it is in giving that we receive, and it is in pardoning that we are pardoned. So let's just take another deep breath, relax ourselves, and come back to our unity service. And good morning again. It's so wonderful to have David back with us. And thank you, Andrea, for doing the platform. And thank you, everyone, for being present with us. It's great to be here with you on this September summer morning here in Alabama. So today our subject is judgment, judging. And I had a story that I learned quite a while ago, actually, and so I'd just like to tell you that story. When we were children, many of us learned about Judgment Day, didn't we? We were raised in perhaps Catholic or Christian households, and it was kind of a motivator to us that, you know, if we didn't really do good and behave ourselves, that our judgment day would come. Our judgment day would come. And most of us were told that we'd go before St. Peter, and St. Peter had the key to the gate and to the kingdom, and it would be up to him to let us in. So this story is about two men, and they're waiting in line to meet St. Peter. And they start up a conversation, and they ask each other their profession. So the one man says, well, I was a New York cab driver for 50 years. So the other man says, well, what did you do? He says, well, I was a preacher. I served a church for 50 years. They're both impressed with each other. Wow, that's a long time. And so the cab driver is the first one up to St. Peter, and St. Peter looks in his big book. We're also told about that big book that kept track of all of our errors, right? Yeah. So he finds his name and he says, oh, yes, here you are. And he goes over and he gets a beautiful cloak that's silk, and it's embroidered with golden threads. And he places it over the cab driver. And then he goes and gets a giant golden staff and hands it to him. And then he opens the gates and welcomes him in. And the preacher's behind him thinking, well, if the cab driver got that, I can imagine what I'm going to receive. So he goes up to St. Peter, and St. Peter again looks in the book, and he says, sure enough, you're here. And then he goes over and he gets a Muslim sack and puts it on top of the preacher. And then he gets a crooked stick and hands it to him, and then opens the gates and welcomes him in. And the preacher says, there must be something wrong with this. You gave a silken, beautiful robe to the cab driver, and you gave him a golden cane, and you give me this little twig? There has to be something wrong. And St. Peter says, well, up here, we go with results. And the cab driver, everyone that got into his cab would pray. And for you, every Sunday for 50 years, they slept. So anyways, I hope I'm not going to put you to sleep this morning. I'll try not to, in spite of our PowerPoint issues. So somehow in our world today, we tend to be judging a lot, don't we? We judge situations, people, political parties. The new issue is mask or don't mask, vaccine or don't get a vaccine, and we're always looking for differences. And they say that this is one of our most divisive times in our world. So we really need to look at this judgment thing. So Pam, if we can have the next slide. So Charles Fillmore talks about judgment. Pam will put it up, I think, I hope. Okay, there. So Charles Fillmore talks about Judgment Day, and it's paraphrased from Charles Fillmore Revealing Word. And Judgment Day is the time when we can discern the true from the false. It's a time of purification. And he also goes on and talks about judgment. The next slide, please. There's another one about judgment. Okay. And this is, I guess I don't have the one about judgment. I'm sorry. But we'll go on to the Bible verses. He also talks about judgment, and he says that we have, that judgment is one of our spiritual faculties, and it's sort of aligned to our spiritual understanding, and that when we truly have spiritual understanding, we can discern the true from the false. And then, of course, in the scriptures, we learn a lot about judgment. In the book of John, I took this from the three different Bible. We have the New International Version, which is what Unity generally uses, and it's stop judging by mere appearances, but instead judge correctly. And then the Message Bible, which is done in our common everyday language, and I love this one. It says, don't be nitpickers. Use your head and heart to discern what is right, to test what is authentically right. And then the King James Version, do not judge by appearances, but judge with righteous judgment. So Jesus, is there another slide, Pam, after this or not? I wish I had my own slides. I really, no, okay, no, that's all right. So I'm gonna just have to wing it, and we'll do the best we can. I had a bunch of other slides, and I had a quote from the Buddhist tradition about they believe in having a beginner's mind, that part of the Zen tradition is having a beginner's mind. And also it reminded me of what Jesus said, to become like little children. And I used that 2 weeks ago when I talked about being in the now moment. Little children really know how to be in the now moment. And they also have the beginner's mind. They don't have a lot of opinions. They don't have a lot of assumptions. And so they can't really make judgments. But it doesn't take long into our development that we're socialized into, what is the right religion? What is the right political party? What is the right way to be? We're supposed to be a certain gender identity, certain way to be a man or a woman in our world, and that it doesn't leave too much room for us for differences. And so that's why I think part of what Jesus meant by become as a little children, become open, become teachable. Now, one of my favorite authors is Alan Cohen, and Alan Cohen, he's a prolific author, he's a teacher, he's a spiritual counselor. He actually had a radio show that was on after the one I helped Richard and Bill with on Unity Online Radio. And he likes to tell stories. So this is a story from one of his books. He tells about one of his clients who was coming to him for counseling. And the client came in and wanted to tell him a story. And he said that he had, every morning he would go to work, and outside of his apartment building, sort of hiding underneath the steps, was a homeless woman. And she said she was dirty and disheveled, and she used to kind of glare at him and make funny noises. And he found himself every day really judging her and sort of wishing that she would disappear, that she was a detriment to the neighborhood, and she was, making things messy. And then one day he was walking to work, and he looked at her and thought, gee, I've really been judging her. I really don't know her story. I don't know any of the circumstances that led her to be in this condition. So he walked up to her and he said, I really need to apologize to you. He says, will you please forgive me? And she kind of scowled him at first, and then she looked at him and kind of smiled her toothless smile and said, yes, I forgive you. And in that moment, he said, she was transformed. Her physical presence was transformed. It was like she became an angel. There were no imperfections, no dirt. just light, just light. So he said to Alan, what do you suppose happened? What happened? And he said, you were judging her and judging by appearances, but you saw her soul. In that instant, you saw her soul. And so on some of my slides, I have some of the quotes from, I think I actually printed this out. It must have been some insight that I had that I should print up one of my quotes that I had from Alan Cohen. So Alan Cohen says that our soul is the truest part of us. We often say we are spiritual beings having a human experience, and we've kind of overlearned how to be humans and how to be how to be true to ourselves is to really remember that we are spirits, we are souls. We're created in the image and likeness of God. That tells us that in Genesis. So he goes on to tell his client, he says, a part of you and all of us runs far deeper than the worldly drama we play out. The appearances that keep us and others small and separate do not reveal who we really are. Our soul is the truest element of our life, the ray of light that is God. To glimpse your soul or that of another person is the blessing of a lifetime. Yet such a revelation need not be relegated to rare mystical moments. The faculty of soul vision can be cultivated so we see ourselves as God created us rather than what the world has made of us. And that's from Alan Cohen's, I think it's one of his more recent books called Soul and Destiny. Soul and Destiny. And I think we've all made judgments about people. I know I have. And then later to find out that, it ain't necessarily so, as my title of my talk is, it ain't necessarily so. I was thinking of two women that were part of my congregation in West Virginia. And they were part of the Quest group that I had there. And I remember when they came in to the first couple of Quest groups, they would always come together and they would always arrive a little bit late. And they always would sort of be a little bit loud and have their opinions. And they were actually kind of irritated to me. And, those two women became two of my best friends. One of them became the president of my board, and the other one was very supportive of me throughout the ministry. So judging by appearances. In the Quest, the Jaffolas tell the story about when they were a young married couple living on a cul-de-sac, and they said the cul-de-sac was just such a friendly, wonderful neighborhood. All the children got along, and all of the parents got along, and they socialized together. Well, one of the homes went up for sale, and a new family moved in, and they wanted to welcome them to their little neighborhood, and they would wave to them, and they never would wave back. They never would make eye contact. Well, the Jaffolas decided that they needed to make some extra effort. So they went over and knocked on the door, and they knew that they were home, but nobody answered the door. So they started talking among themselves about how this new family was going to ruin the neighborhood. Everyone always got along, and this new family had to move in and ruin the neighborhood. And then they said about a year later, they were some of their very best friends. And what they discovered was about a week before they moved in, they had lost their youngest child to a hit-and-run driver. So the assessments we make ain't necessarily so. Now I wanted to mention today is September the 12th, and 20 years ago, we remember September the 12th. I think that we remember the tragedy that happened on September 11th. There were a lot of, I watched some of the memorial events on TV last evening, and there was some wonderful music and some of the powerful stories of the families and the heroes that emerged during that time. But the wonderful thing that happened is I think that it brought us all down on our knees in prayer. It made us realize what's important, not the judging, but the joining. And the churches were open, and there were prayer meetings, and I think the churches were full for it only lasted about a month. But then I did hear, I was actually working as a hospice nurse at that time. I was on orientation. I had just started about 3 weeks earlier. And I had met the chaplain for our hospice in one of the nursing facilities. And he told me that he'd received a call from the Ministerial Association from the area. And they had said that there was a rumor that some people had displaced their anger or their fear and had decided to attack the mosque that was in the neighborhood. And so the clergy association all got together, the Jews and the Muslims and all the Christian denominations and the Hindus, whoever was there, and made a human chain around the mosque and prayed there all night so the mosque remained safe. So that's what sometimes happens. We learn to overgeneralize and project. And that is the terrorist that lives within us. That's the terrorist that lives within us. So we've overlearned the world, but we can, like Jesus, overcome the world. We just need to look at our judgments, at our thoughts. I did have a bunch of questions for us to contemplate this week that were on my PowerPoint, and I hope I can remember some of them. This will teach me not to print up my PowerPoint. And so some of them are, what do we really know for sure? Now, when I look at this question, I think the only thing I really know for sure is God is. There is a unifying element in our world, a harmonizing, healing element, and something that binds us together. And that is God. There is only God, as I think there is. And there is only love. And it's a loving God that connects us in harmony and healing. And so, and what are some of, let's look at some of our assumptions. Sometimes we have beliefs and assumptions and we don't really know where the heck they came from. We've carried them around for years and years and years, and they perhaps go back to our childhood. So let's just look at those. Let's look at how often we jump to judgment, and we know that it ain't necessarily so. It ain't necessarily so. How often do we criticize ourselves or others? We have that, the committee in the mind that's always judging, labeling, comparing, blaming. So let's just look at that this week. And for next week, I'm going to talk about the discerning element, the power of the Holy Spirit indwelling each of us, that we can call upon at any time to help us make decisions, to help us have right judgment, just as Jesus said, right judgment, and to be above the world, to be above the world. And I don't know, we had decided this week that I wasn't going to talk so long, so I don't put you to sleep, like I mentioned earlier. So I probably missed some of my quotes. And so we're just going to take a deep breath and we're going to go into meditation. So I invite you to just take a deep breath, and if it's comfortable for you, to close your outer eyes and open your inner eyes. And let's just take another deep breath. Allow our physical bodies to relax. And just allow our chairs to support us. And just be present to this now moment. Let's move our awareness into our heart space. And just breathe into that heart space. Allow it to be open. Open the eyes of my heart. Open the eyes of my heart. And let's just bring into our awareness perhaps one area of our life where we tend to see ourselves judging. Perhaps it's on the area of politics or the area of the virus or the area of a particular group of people or nationality or religious group. Let's just take a deep breath. And let's just realize that we can cleanse our consciousness of outer air thoughts. We can cleanse our consciousness of error thoughts, error beliefs, error stereotypes, our own inner terrorist. And we can dream together of feeling free and being free and refreshed. Let's visualize a soft, gentle rain washing over these beliefs, stereotypes, opinions, or assumptions, washing them clean and free, bathing them in love, opening the eyes of our hearts, opening the eyes of our hearts. Let's just rest in the silence for just a few moments, visualizing that soft, gentle rain washing over our souls, cleansing us to fullness of grace and love and joy.
I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, soft and easy, sweet and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, in peace spread over the land, and the flowers bloom in the desert, and the air is fresh and clear. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of heaven, and the earth sang, and the sound was easy, and the song was clear. I dreamed of heaven, and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land, and the ancient pain is forgotten, and the Father's debts are clear. I dreamed of heaven, and the earth sang, and peace spread over the land. I dreamed of rain, and the rains came.
Thank you, David. That was beautiful. And I think that we just need to remember that despite outer appearances, each and every one of us are whole, perfect, and blessed.
Thank you, Anne. This is the time we give our love offerings. Please hold your gift in your hands while we say once together the prosperity affirmation. Divine love through me blesses and multiplies all that I give, all that I have, and all that I receive.
This is one of my favorite Daniel and the Mods songs. I hope you enjoy it. It's called Swing Wide the Doors. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. I'm not holding it in anymore. I'm gonna shout it out loud. I understand now what I'm here for and what this life is about. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. There's a voice that I've heard for years. I've learned to keep it inside, but now it's coming in loud and clear. I want a deeper life. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand. It's about love, it's about laughter, it's about comfort and smiles. It's about love, it's about kindness, it's about hearts open wide. It's about love, it's about passion, it's about taking a chance. It's about love, it's about service, it's about lending a hand, about lending a hand. Swing wide the doors, the time is right. Swing wide the doors to let in the light. Bring in the dawn for humankind. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. Swing wide the doors of this heart of mine. All right.
Thank you very much, David. That was lovely. And now let's say together the prayer for protection. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, for we are one. And now David sang, "Let there be peace on earth."
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, a peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow.